Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. On location, the lovely beaches down here in Clearwater. We told you we were taking the show on the road this week thanks to our friends at Above and Beyond Vacation Rentals. They have put your boys up, and man, are we in the lap of luxury. You can be too. I'm not saying that to chide. I'm not saying that to be a jerk. I'm saying that because from where I sit, I would strongly suggest you find a way to book Above and Beyond VR.com. More on that in a bit. We will say we're going to be down here for a couple days. I'm going to record headlines down here as well. We'll do another show from down here on Wednesday. I'm going to take in the spring training baseball games. Tom and I, we're talking about spring training. That's how this all came about. And I come down every year. I typically bring the kids and we do the whole thing. But at that point, Matt and his lovely wife, they've been listeners. Matt's been a listener for a long time. Yep. And they own a business, Above and Beyond VR.com is the website. Again, Above and Beyond Vacation Rentals. And they're Noles. They're diehard Noles. They're listening to the show. They're like, well, we got properties. Maybe we should hook up with Tom and Jeff. We should get something together and see what's out there. Let's let people know about these properties. And it's 30 plus units in coastal Pinellas County. Everything from beach cottages, as I was talking about before, to quaint beach motels and luxury condos like the one we're in right now. You can't beat it. And there's none of that VRBO, Airbnb, middleman fee nonsense with these guys. And so right out the gates, I just want to tell you that it's Noles helping Noles and saving you money. And a lot of people do like to, book for vacations, come down to the beach areas in this part of the state. Now you got another option and one that will save you money. And right now we're launching the code beginning right here today. Use code JCS. It's 15% off. Matt and Jen are booked solid through March, but you can act right now for April all the way through 2026. So, I can tell you this, they're going to book quickly. Yeah. So I would act now and save the money. 15% off is a hell of a save.
It's awesome. This is it's really cool personally because this is the part of the county I grew up in. I grew up on Sunset Point Road in Clearwater, so to be able to drive through Dunedin yesterday, past Sunset Point, the turn signal, I said big ups. I looked at the signs, big ups. Good to see you. But they've got everything from if you want to be closer to downtown Dunedin to catch the spring training games, or steps from the beach. Everything in between. It's pretty sick. And what I would recommend is you go on the website and there's a section for tiny houses that puts an image in your head. That's not what you're going to see. You're going to see full-on bungalow lifestyle, which is pretty cool. Well, that's just
some of their properties, by the way. You also have this massive place that we're at. It's a
3-story condo.
We're staying right near where some of the baseball players for the Phillies and others are staying. So
I'm sure we'll see a wrestler or two.
Yeah, it's pretty damn nice. So use that promo code, kids. JCS, saving a bunch of money. All right, Florida State baseball. I want to begin there because I'm sure not going to begin with Florida State basketball. How about that ass beating? No, I'm not happy about it. Not giddy about it. I watched. Exhale. It's almost over. Yeah. These days of just not mattering at all, rolling it out there, taking beatings.
With some and a little bit of energy for Saturday against SMU. Is that too much?
I want to send the man off. Yes, I'll all of us, I think, who are in town. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the kids won't be. But for those of us that are in town, go out to the TLC Double C and off the cap one last time. But man alive, that's a toughie. They took a beat down, but the baseball team got another sweep, and they were challenged, and that's a good thing. I want to start with yesterday's game because I think a lot of good came out of that. Let's start with the pitching. Wes Mendez is really good, guys. I'm more and more impressed by what I see from him. Just looking at his stuff. He struck out, he struck out 8 and 5.
Because it's been the same line every time.
Every time, that's right. That's
5
right.
innings, 8 strikeouts.
Yeah. But he, this is a guy that when you have to have a fastball to miss a bat, he reaches that back and finds it. He can locate up in the zone at 94, 95 from the left side. But he's got that curveball. He's got that slider. He's really got I think he's got 3 really good pitches that he can command. And that, for me, is going to play against elite competition, not just, obviously, Georgetown. So I was impressed with that. Florida State struggled with the bats. This is beginning to stretch where they're playing a ton of games in a short amount of time. This is where they're going to probably lose a game in this stretch is where I believe, because Link said after the game yesterday that he thought they were all beat up. He's like, I never would have guessed that we'd be this beat up through 11 games, but he goes, we are. We got guys nursing some things, nothing too serious, thankfully. Right. But there's some guys that are tired, beat up.
That's what I mean. He said it before the season started. They came into the season with bumps and bruises. He was talking about, obviously, Jackson West is a high-profile guy because he was DHing for a lot. He finally caught this week, but he was unavailable to play in the field. And then in the outfield, they've had a lot of bumps and bruises. There was a second yesterday where Gage Harrelson, the trainer was looking at him, and Lulu on the call was like, "Oh no." And then he ended up being okay. He's like, they're awfully thin in the outfield. He's like, oh, that's okay. So beyond, the things that are on the record, when you hear the play-by-play voice who is very connected to the program say they're thin out in the outfield.
Right.
I mean, yeah, they're banged up, but I also think they're a little bit snake bit. This is the part of the season where you almost have to throw out some of the results. And by that, I mean, if you're looking at exit velocity, 111 off the bat, 112 off the bat, but it doesn't leave the yard, these are not the conditions you're going to be playing in when it's winning time in ACC season, in regional season or super regional season, excuse me, because it's going to be 95 with a heat index of 101. A lot of these warning track shots that we're hitting are going to leave the yard. So I'm seeing the power. Some of it has been warning track power or off the wall kind of power. I think we're getting a little bit unlucky for how hard we're hitting the ball is what I'm trying to say. And that won't be the case when it gets super, super hot here, not too far in the distant future.
Well, chief amongst those that we're going to watch hit the ball out of the yard with greater frequency will be Miles Bailey, who finally did hit a home run. But I will tell you right now, the guy's, first of all, he's hitting 370. He's got a 5-something on-base percentage last I checked. He's slugging close to 600. He is now beginning to emerge as a guy who's capable of being patient. He comes up big in big moments at the plate. He drives the ball the other way. Did that. He had 2 hits in every game this weekend. And he was clutch again yesterday. He got the game-winning hit. He broke the 3-3 tie, had that 2-out single. He reached base 4 times yesterday.
Yep.
So you're seeing more patient at-bats. You're seeing a willingness to drive the ball the other way, let it get deep in the zone.
A comfort, too. Yep. Just everything about body language. Like, oh, he's okay. He's fine.
It's funny because it happens so fast. When you get these baby Noles in here and you get so excited about their potential, and it's weird for me to describe him that way because he's a monster of a man. But like when you get these freshmen, you get these young kids that you hear so much about, you get excited to watch them play, but you also know there's a learning curve, man. I mean, I don't care if you're playing Penn or Georgetown or anybody else for that matter. This is not high school baseball. You're going to see better pitching than you've ever seen in your life. And there's more pressure. You're playing big time college baseball if you're at FSU. And you played locally in town, so you know what that is. You know the expectations, you know the tradition, you know the fans, you know everything about this program. And Link's a tough guy. Obviously I think Link's is doing a great job, but I think he's probably tough, right? He's really, really on these guys, which is great. And there's all those adjustments that a young guy has to make. And so when you look at him kind of a couple times early, we've only played 11 games. If you think about him now, he hasn't started all of them. So we're talking about 8 or 9 games that he has started. And he has gone from looking a little bit like a fish out of water early to completely comfortable. Now, there will be another adjustment.
Conference play.
And when you play Florida and those kinds of things, that the arms are even better. But it is a good sign that the freshman star, the guy that was kind of tabbed because of the size and the strength and all the things, is already adjusting nicely. He's ready for that next step, and we'll have to watch him adjust when that happens.
I like this schedule for this team. I know that, there's been a lot of talk of why aren't we scheduling more aggressively? In Jacksonville, there was just a tournament with 4 good teams. We played in one of those last year where we played Michigan State and I think Western Michigan or Purdue. I forget. But for this group with so much turnover and so many guys battling for position in the pitching staff, out of the bullpen, to have this ramp up, I think, has been critical because this group is flawed. They're not as good as last year's team right now. That doesn't mean that they can't be very, very good at the end of the season, but I like this ramp up. And this week is a different challenge. You might say, well, Can we stop with the ramp ups? We got Lipscomb this week. Yeah, but you got 5 games. You got 5 games. So this is another audition for so many of your guys that are on the bench. Late inning pinch hit situations, middle relievers. If something goes wrong, who's going to be your long man? Who's going to be your primary setup man? If somebody has to leave the game in the 3rd inning because he takes a line drive off of his leg, who's going to get you to the 6th or the 7th? John Abraham is an answer. How about another answer? And so when you have this many games in this short of an order, you will have day game after a night game, or moments to get Sheffield in there a little bit more, moments to get some of these guys in the middle infield in there a little bit more. I like the way this whole thing lays out before you get to conference play, because we have so many questions and so many guys that are trying to get comfortable at this level. So you're right, with 5 games this week, and obviously coming on the heels of a Sunday afternoon game. I like this test. I'm ready for conference play, but this is its own animal. If there was only 1 game midweek, I'd feel a little bit differently, but I like that they're going to get a lot of at-bats in a lot of situations where this bullpen has been a little bit up and down, but there's not a lack of names. There's not a lack of candidates to step up and help you in big situations.
Well, you're beginning to see different guys step up too, right?
Mason Martinez on Friday.
Yeah, and then Peyton Prescott, and he throws gas. And that last strikeout was get you some.
Yep.
Here's 3 fastballs in a 1-run game.
Right.
Good night.
But they've all had their ups and downs. Kinnear, obviously, he got hit yesterday. That was a 1-0 game, and there's a home run. Ben Barrett's been up and down a little bit. Abraham's got in trouble here and there. Holtz, would like a better start to the season. But then Mason Martinez is there, and Kinnear helped you on Tuesday night.
Yes, he did.
And Prescott obviously has swing and miss stuff. So just, again, the more games you get, the more chances these guys have to assert themselves to be the primary option.
Prescott, in just over 5 innings pitched, has 7 strikeouts. He's only walked 1 hitter. I'm liking that arm. Let's just put it that way. So you're right. This is not as good a baseball team as it was a year ago. It would have been very difficult to match anything like that. Just there was ungodly power. Look, I think Florida State was the 2nd best team in baseball last year. I think in borderline best. I mean, as it turned out, the College World Series played out that way. You lost to the eventual winner in a game you gave away.
Mm-hmm. And got unlucky at the same time, but you did give it away.
But if you win that game, I mean, I know we don't like to do this, but if you win that game, there's a distinct possibility we have our first national championship. Mm-hmm. But it didn't happen, and you came up short, and the team that beat you won the whole thing. So
right.
But I think Florida State was 2nd or 3rd best team in the country last year.
Bailey can be that game changer, though. He can be the guy that changes the equation of what expectations are, because if he ends up doing, and looking as comfortable as he is right now against conference play, against those top flight arms, you combine that with Max. Okay, now you got 2 guys in the middle of the order. I really think Lodis and Farrow are going to be there for you, and they don't look scared of the moment. So now you got 4 guys that you like. Jackson has been snake bit this year in an unreal way. He's hitting the ball hard all the damn time. And then BJ Gibson has emerged as an option that we didn't expect.
Well,
and I know we talked about him last night when we were at the Tiki Bar.
Yeah.
How about that exit velocity yesterday? Holy cow.
Yeah, and he, by the way, is a guy that he looks comfortable. It doesn't make any sense. You talk about just natural ability, and just the relative ease with which the game. I had a guy tell me we were talking about BJ Gibson because I like him as a receiver too.
Yep,
and I think he brings a lot to the table. He's a tough kid, and he's got a little what for to him. He's on the all uniform team, as I call him, because he looks amazing. I mean, to be that young and that kind of shape, buddy, he is absolutely. He looks like an elite athlete. Well, that's what he looks like, an elite athlete.
I mean, he gives a damn. He's got the sandpaper element to him. I remember when they were going through drills last year, the blocking drills where they got to pop the sled, pop it up. He was the best one as a true freshman. I'm like, who the hell is 80? I'm like, BJ Gibson? And just the power. He's got effortless power to him, and that's in football violence, but that's also at the plate.
Yeah, and that guy was explaining to me, he was like, look, I think his future's on the baseball diamond. I think he's a future major leaguer. And at the time that he said it, I kind of, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I didn't see his high school career. I have no idea, Right. But then when you watch him, you can see where somebody would derive that assessment. You'd say, okay, he doesn't get a chance to practice at all in the fall in baseball. Doesn't see any live pitching. Well, we all know as a hitter, acclimation periods take time, and it's tough. It takes a while of getting good live pitching before you can adjust.
Well, and he didn't play his senior year of high school because he early enrolled to play football. So you're talking about a year off from the game. He was going to be an All-American, but his last year was his junior year. He had over 400 and all that stuff, and he had the accolades. But you're a year away from the game, and then no fall ball. That's a lot of time away from baseball.
He's steady out here going 2 for 4, and just ripping the cover off the ball when he hits it. He's got that explosive swing. Link Jarrett talked about how his bat speed is amongst the best on the team, right there with Miles Bailey and some others. So, I mean, that's exciting. They are, because they've had some guys banged up, they're having to play some other guys a little bit more than they wanted to early on, I think, and those guys are coming through.
They are. That's the whole thing about this ramp up. If you played a bunch of tough teams, I'm not saying that the players would be affected, but the fans might say, what the hell's wrong with us if we had suffered 2 or 3 losses at this point in the season? You're 8-3, you play tougher competition, and you get exposed a little bit. Because I do think right now they're trying to develop, obviously, as quickly as they possibly can. This is a flawed group at the moment. I think there's going to be some days where the bullpen gets hit, and and hit pretty hard. That doesn't mean that the bullpen's not good, but it seems like they're trying to find themselves. And again, with the bumps and the bruises, it's also hard to set a lineup and put it in ink every day. So what becomes of that is, with these opponents that they have, is you get a lot of auditions, and you've got 5 more chances this week before. And it's not like BC's gangbusters when they come to town a week from now and your first ACC series. There are some years where this would be a waste of time. A schedule like this.
Yeah.
And this is not
a loaded veteran team that had been through the wars and had already done.
Whatever, 16-4. We're good. We're good. No, this is a group that really could use the way that everything is laid out.
I think it's a fun every year when we talk about the start of Florida State baseball. And, again, for some people, this is not, they're just waiting around until football starts again. By the way, next segment, I'll get into some Florida State football for you. But I get it. I love these journeys, though, for teams like this. And again, I'm going to reiterate this because they are flawed. They do have a long ways to go, but they have the talent to get there. And that, to me, is a fun ride to take because they're going to, everybody knows you're going to lose a series. You're going to lose a game you're not supposed to lose. Could happen this week. You're going to lose to a team that you're like, whoa, what the hell was that? But so far, so good. You're 11-0. You're stockpiling wins, which is always nice. You're giving yourself a little wiggle room for later in the season when you're run down and you have a tough series on the road and don't play so well, and maybe you get swept or something terrible like that. I doubt it. I don't think their arms are going to let them get swept. But,
probably not.
But you know what I mean. There's always that series where you're like, it's nice to stockpile these wins because the record matters when it comes to the rankings and all that and vying for the top 8 national seed and those things. So they're getting wins where they should get wins, but they're also learning about themselves along the way. But I just think that this team's potential to get better over the course of some of the younger guys. They got special young talent. Special young talent that can take a massive leap by the time you get to the end of ACC play and we start getting into the tournament and then obviously regionals. That's where you say, okay, I know they're good. I don't know where they're going to finish. I don't know how great they are going to be, but there's real potential. Let's go for the ride.
Yeah, that's the whole thing that, I'm saying that this group is flawed. They're not nearly as good as last year. That's in this point in time. That's on Monday, March the 3rd. But we get to May the 3rd, who knows? Because they are recruiting like Florida State should. And you do have a lot of options out of that bullpen where they could nail it down. I know Link doesn't want to do that because he'd like to use guys for 30 pitches if he can. And then that could be 5 outs. That could be 3 outs. That could be whatever. But you could have 3 dudes emerge like, all right, here's your setup guy. Here's your 8th inning guy. Here's closer 1, closer 2. And then in the lineup, if you do have maybe one other guy emerge in addition to Bailey, and maybe it's going to be BJ Gibson. We'll see, but somebody else. And now you've got 2 through 5 or 2 through 6 in the lineup is hell. I mean, that's not unfathomable in this moment. It's just that they're going to grow. And this has been fun. Also, the game, because of what we've talked about the last couple of years, less minor league places to go, a shorter MLB amateur draft. Even Georgetown has some players. Like this is the sport is good. It's just a fun watch.
So much better than it used to be. It is a fun watch. We're getting to that time of year where the weather is perfect when you go over to Hauser. It's all those things. And man, I'm so happy March is here. Well, the time change is going to happen soon.
Yeah.
We get that extra daylight.
The sun's out late enough right now, though.
But we get that extra daylight now for golf.
Golf.
And you get the games, the baseball games, and then, of course, warms up a little bit. But also we're moving that much closer to spring football. And I'm really itching for spring football to happen.
We all are.
I want to talk about something in a second. I got an inside look. I didn't personally go, but somebody we know who happens to be a part of this show once a week as a fixed position feature got to do a tour. Got to do a tour of the indoor not the indoor I always do that. The football only facility, as well as the stuff that's going on with the stadium. And I'll talk about that in a moment. Some interesting things, good things. How about some positive news regarding Florida State for once? Here we go. Florida State football. Positive news. Jeff Cameron Show. We're live here in Clearwater. You could be too. Visit the website, aboveandbeyondvr.com. That's Above and Beyond Vacation Rentals. You can also give them a call. You could talk to Matt, you can talk to Jen, 727-253-5995. The reason I'm going to hammer this all day today is they just launched the special, the coming on board special with us. You use the code JCS and you get 15% off. So saving you a lot of money. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. As we continue to broadcast from the lap of luxury.
Yes, we do. Should we show them the sunset from last night?
Pop that up on the screen, buddy. Man.
Look at that.
Doesn't suck. That's your boy there in the foreground there. That's me looking down at my picture of the same sunset.
Yeah. We weren't kidding when we said we were talking at the Tiki Bar.
Yeah.
That is but
it's right by this property here.
Yeah, that's but a 5-minute stroll from where we are. This particular Tiki Bar.
And to book your 5-minute stroll, Above and Beyond Vacation Rentals. They're owned by Noles. They're good people. And right now I'm giving you a 15% discount for doing so. All this week, if you use code JCS, you're in there. Make it happen. Look, they're booked solid for March. So you're going to have to act now to get April and really all the way through 2026. So make it happen. Save 15%. Go. Just what you do is you just go look at all the properties, all right? Just go look at all the properties. Go to the website, aboveandbeyondvr.com. That's aboveandbeyondvr.com. Surely they have something for you. They have everything from little cottages and these quaint little places right on the water, right on the beach, to this gigantic palatial what is this? This isn't a condo. This is better than a condo.
Yeah,
it's a luxury condo.
It's a luxury condo.
It's unbelievable.
And people just got to see the pinball machine that we got in our in our condo as well. Yeah, pool tables, pinball machines. This place is killer. This is killer.
It's fantastic. Yeah. So I mentioned Florida State football a moment ago, and more and more people, Bowden Society folk.
Yeah, they were in town this past week.
They are finding their way into the facilities, plural, the stadium, obviously, and then, of course, the renovations to that and the football-only facility. So I will tell you that we saw from Jonathan, Primetime Nole.
Jonathan Breimer, one of our favorites.
Great guy. Great
Extremely
guy.
Generous.
Very kind man. He did a great job of documenting his tour around the facilities. And then our buddy Jonathan Conrad, ISF.com.
It was Jonathan Day.
It was Jonathan
Florida
Day.
State.
Yeah. They got a tour through there. I believe my man Adam Tolliver. Man, oldretirement.com. Go check it out. Yeah, I believe Adam Tolliver did as well. So that's cool. And we know the Battles Inn and Ingram have done it numerous times. So there you go. We've got a chance to see everybody tour that's affiliated with us, that we're friends with as well. And the pictures coming out of both, I would say, both out of Doak and the football-only facility are good news, man. That go surf the web, if you will, folks. You'll see a lot of people posted. I'm not kidding about that. It was clearly a time for those that had contributed greatly to the cause to get their opportunity. And they got a chance to do the tour, and many of them took pictures. And I heard back from several who are very impressed. First of all, the wider concourses at Doak. Yes, please.
Yeah.
That's going to be nice. I know. I don't want to get bogged down in the details of that. It's really about your seats and the game itself and all of that. But yes, it does look like it's going to be a significant upgrade to the way Doak used to operate. And that makes it needed to be. I mean, the bathroom and concession situation, that was terrible. Just terrible.
But this is following up on our conversation. They have to nail this. They've got to get this right because these are the people that are going to help bridge the gap to whenever the hell we get out of this godforsaken conference. You need these people to be happy. The ones that are going to spend on, the founder suites or the sideline club level or that little plaza that
There's
they're going to be in.
just one founder suite still available.
That's right. Yes.
Just the one.
Right. At Above and Beyond Vacation. No, I'm kidding. But you need these people desperately in the history of our program, outside of maybe the founding of the boosters, the Andy Miller days. This is a critical moment because you're operating potentially at a large deficit for a few more years before the sport gets reorganized. And I think we find our place in that reorganization. So you got to nail it. I'm glad to hear that people were happy with the tour and they're not saying, I'm not so sure. This looks different than the renderings or anything like that.
No. Yes, you don't want, gosh, you scared me for a moment. I mean, the idea of them inviting those that are the most generous with their wealth and giving back to the university in these projects, inviting them into town over the last few days, only to have some of them post immediately, "This sucks," would be a nightmare.
Well,
but did not happen.
Well, what you would probably hear, because usually these folks have a little bit of courtesy to them. You'd hear a whisper. You'd get a text.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Oh,
that's what you would get. I don't know.
I would 100% get that text. And we are fortunate over the years to have gotten to know a lot of people who spend a lot of money with Florida State, business owners and the like, people that have advertised with us, people we've become friends with, just covering the program and being part of it. And yes, one of them would have texted me to say, "Hey, man, not for nothing, but check in with some of these other guys and find out, are they as disgruntled as I am?" Because that would be kind of what they would want to know. Is anybody else feeling the way I'm feeling right about now, or am I just being a spoiled brat? Like that would probably happen. And that didn't happen at all. So the news is good. I suspected that it would look good. I mean, look, the bottom line is they're spending gobs and gobs and gobs of money. You can't get it wrong. You have to be right on this stuff. Will there be some minor irritants and things of that, growing pains early on? Probably. Just can't be significant ones. Can't be over the top. Can't ruin the day, ruin the experience. Can't have that. Hopefully no eyesores or anything like that. So we shall see. But that news was good. I'll tell you this, the football-only facility, I'm really intrigued by those pictures that were posted. They gave me goosebumps. I thought, man, because, again, that's going to help you in recruiting.
Yeah, it's coming back to where it was 5 and 10 years ago. This is where I agree with Director Alford when he was saying that, if you get to a cap and that cap is whatever, 20 and a half or 21 and a half, 22. And then what I would add that he didn't say, then your battle's end is there for the extra 5 or 7 or whatever it is.
Because they don't believe that that's going to be a thing, but it is going to be a thing.
100%. Yes, they're not just a marketing agency. No,
it's going to be a thing. Yeah.
Yes. But if everybody's batting in that ballpark, then there is a little bit more parity coming as long as the battle's end is a big part of it. So it comes back to what's your differentiator, your relationships, and then your facilities. It was not the last few years, facilities have been second in the equation to NIL. Full stop, because a lot of schools are paying the Becks of the world $3 million from the collective, another $3 million maybe from somebody else. If you're going to cap that thing, then you got to have state-of-the-art looking stuff for kids to work with. And I didn't see any of the photos, but if those look like the renderings for the footballing facility are breathtaking.
Well, those photos are beginning to see this thing take shape in a way that excited me. I'll show you some during the break. I think there's some things that you'll really
it's that weight room that can open up that huge door into the fields. That's incredible. That's ridiculous.
I wanted to go work out there. I was like, look at this. Look at this. Yeah, no, that was impressive. So, soon enough, man. And I'm struck all the time. I think this is old age. I'm struck all the time by how fast the time goes by, how quickly these things come to be. And I'm sitting here now and we're thinking, what are we, 6 months away? March, April, May, June, July, before football starts.
Yeah.
And I realize how quickly it all happens. I mean, we're going to be going into that stadium and looking at that. Well, first of all, spring football practice is almost here.
Yeah.
So that's the first big thing here. That helps bridge the gap, and we'll get the appetite satiated there.
Well, and it might break after we have this segment, but tour of duty is likely this week. Our chance to go check it out, because spring break is next week for campus, and historically under Mike Norvell, they get tour of duty done before they break for spring break. So chances are Thursday or Friday this week we'll get our first look at some of these new guys, and it'll be in mat drills, but it's something, and we always enjoy that experience,
especially when it's the newer players that come in, some of which have star potential and high profile players that maybe come in and have an impact early in their careers. There are a couple guys like that I certainly want to see early on. Unfortunately, Usman Kroma is not one of them. Is not here in the spring, but more and more, I tell you what, for those of you out there that have seen him play in person or have really studied his tape, I've had a chance to talk to a couple people who are really familiar with his game and who he is and his work ethic, Tom. Really, the stuff he does off the field to go with and marry with what he can do physically on the field. And I just keep getting a sense like this is going to be a true freshman that comes in and plays quick.
Yeah.
You're hearing more and more that it's one of those guys.
So after he flipped and came to us, Michael Langston drove up to his high school to do a one-on-one interview with him. And it was, 8-10 minutes.
Yeah.
But you're just looking for little traits like you're talking about, little indications, the way he answers a question, the way he talks about the program. And I agree, there is a confidence, but you can tell that there's a diligence. And that what you need, especially if you're not going to be an early enrollee, you're going to be a traditional true freshman that comes in the summer, you got to be diligent to be able to get on the field immediately. But what it does do as well, in the broader sense, is it opens up for an exceptional competition that starts this spring, because those running backs know that this guy's about to get on campus.
Yeah.
So they know that they've got a lot of work to do. And you think about that room.
Well, it's deep.
There have to be people who transfer out this year, right? We said that last year, nobody left, but maybe that was the first bad sign. But you got Roydell Williams and Keziah Holmes back. They're, extremely veteran at those two guys are. But then if I'm Sam Singleton, I better have a good camp. If I'm Cam Davis, I better have a good camp, because here comes this guy, and we all know that Gus likes him.
It's interesting that, I felt like it's so early in his career. I don't want to put these labels on it, but Cam's got a long way to go. I just didn't see it a year ago, and thrust into a position to play that early in your career is not a good situation. Being behind that offensive line is not a good situation. But I would expect a big leap from him, or that's the hope anyhow. There's a lot of guys that need to have that leap, if we're being honest. That was a skill group that I think we thought going into the season we could expect something from. I know they were victimized by that line. I'm not ignoring that offensive line, but man, they weren't special.
Well, and over rotation. I'm so glad that's gone. Yeah. Good God.
Well, that's another reason you better shine, because you're not rotating in like they did last year.
Nope.
Gus ain't having that nonsense.
You're damn right. Thank you, Gus. I won't say that a lot until we see the games. But thank you, Gus.
Yeah, well, let's wait till
foolishness. This foolishness of rotating guys.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. As a reminder, and you can see behind me, you can see behind Tom, there's the 2-cam for you guys. We are broadcasting from Clearwater Beach. Doesn't suck. I'd like to thank our friends at Above and Beyond. You guys could utilize their magnificent properties for yourself. You could be here. You could be right here. You could choose from several, including little cottages and bungalows, Tom.
Yeah.
I like that. We are not in that. We are in a luxury penthouse, but that is what we do. But there are people out there who could do that as well, Tom. They can rent this very well. Right. You're seeing some images if you're watching the Jeff Cameron Show on YouTube, on Warchant TV. You're seeing where we are, and it is absolutely stunning. Beautiful day and a beautiful time here. Coming down here, catching some spring training games, doing some live shows while we're here, checking out the properties that Above and Beyond VR.com is kind enough. I want to make sure I get the website out there. Go check out these properties, guys. There's something for everybody. They've got those little cottages. They call them tiny houses, but they're not tiny houses. That's a misnomer.
Yeah, they're not. A tiny house you might envision in your mind. Some people live in tiny houses on properties, and they live almost like they rough it. This is not a rough it situation in these tiny homes. They're essentially bungalow style.
Well, that one's in Dunedin, and you can just walk right over to the heart of downtown there, and they had live music going on yesterday, and just people out on the water. It was beautiful, all in walking distance. The trail right behind there, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, they were really having a good time, and they were a lot of Philly fans, so that was the one downside. But that's okay. That's okay. Everybody needs a vacation.
Above and Beyond, Knoll family owned and operated. We talked to Matt yesterday. He showed us all the properties, and it was a lot of the properties anyhow. It was fantastic, and we had a good time, and good people. And you can really listen. This is the week. The launch special right now is the best you're going to do. It's 15% off if you use the code JCS.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about coming down here at any point in the next few months, next 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it might be, save you some serious cash right now. 15% off if you use the code JCS.
Well, and it's direct. That's the last part of it is it's direct. It's not Verbo. It's not Airbnb. It's direct, and you're supporting Noles, who own and run the business. Matt and Jen will pick up if you want to call them too. They'll pick up the phone. You can text them. It's a direct operation rather than paying all those weird fees. Like, where do those come from? It's all direct and 15% off. And actually, I was poking around last night. It's reasonable as hell. So,
well, especially
for
with
where you are,
15% off,
well,
buddy.
Yeah, with where you are.
Yeah. So check them out. Go online right now, and you've been thinking about it. You have. Utilize the launch special, JCS, for 15% off. Good stuff. You can they're booked solid for March, so act now for April. That's the way to do it. Act now through April, get it going. Make sure you come and check it out. AboveandBeyondVR.com. If you get signed up for a property this week, you'll get 15% off with that promo code JCS. So that's a good thing. Hey, by the way, speaking of good things, Zaire Thomas continues to do good things. He was limited in workouts, as you mentioned, Tom, that basically he wasn't going to run there. He'll run in his pro day.
Mm-hmm.
But quickly, a summary of the defensive backs from the combine. We continue to chart this. I'm just rooting for him to do well. I root for all the Noles to do well. But Azari was a good kid and fun to talk to, and hard worker, all those things. I don't think he had a great season last year. Obviously, nobody did.
No. The closest was Farmer, I think.
Yeah. I think you're right. And the thing about Azari, I think he fell victim to, like a lot of guys did last year on this defense. The offense wasn't going to make plays. They knew it. And the second they got down in games, you kind of saw, a lack of willingness to tackle at times. And I think that hurt this area as well. Mm-hmm. But we knew he would test through the roof. He's physically what these teams want. And he only participated in testing, displayed great ability, as I'm reading from the reviews of the scouts right now. A true pass man corner, had little wasted motion when redirecting, was able to easily transition in turn, only had 2 career interceptions. So the gauntlet drill was very important for him.
Yeah.
He stepped up, caught the ball cleanly, running full speed the whole time, showed that he can catch balls outside of his frame. He's firmly in the late first round now. Some scouts believe his youth, he won't turn 21 until July, gives him top 20 upside currently.
Holy cow.
So there's a chance that Zaire Thomas is going to go in the top 20 guys. So if you're charting this at home, my man was fringe at best, fringe first round. Most had late second, early third when we started the process of the postseason and all the things that led up to the Senior Bowl and all the things that lead up to the combine. But with every turn, every workout, every interview, every moment he had a chance to showcase his wares, he continued to shoot up the charts. And now you're getting that review, which was post-combine. I took a collection of reviews of his work from different scouts that were there that are writing for the various websites, and all of them say, yeah, we know he's probably first round. And now that line came directly from a scout. Some believe because of that age, he may be top 20.
Well, the one thing I'd say too is, he might only have 2 interceptions, and the gauntlet drill is important, sure, but he was screwed out of one of the more athletic interceptions you'll ever see, which Correct. I think we were offside on that play. We had some kind of defensive penalty that wiped that off.
It's an incredible interception. How did he get his feet down? I still don't know.
It's a simple replay to watch. At that point, the scouts can just stand down. If you got questions about his hands or his athleticism to turn the ball over or help you, take the ball
He also
away.
played some receiver in high school.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw those skills. That's where, you know, a lot of things in practice, the fog of camp and so forth can, you know, confuse what is reality and what's not. But one-on-one drills, receiver against defensive back, we saw plenty of those. And even from his first camp, he jumped off the page athletically speaking. So it looked different. And I always like when we see good guys like that. With Trey Benson, we saw it, that he could fly. It was very reassuring to me last year when he ran the 40 time that he ran. I was like, okay, I thought that was fast, but I was hoping it wasn't, that we're all so damn slow at Florida State that was a 4.58. And with AZ, the first time I remember at Tour of Duty, he was in the group with Sam McCall, who ended up being our star recruit from that class because Hunter's flip. And within 4 drills, you could see that AZ was the better athlete. You could just see it. It was effortless. He glides across the field and through these sprinting drills the way I always said, it was like watching Carlos Beltran run. It doesn't look like he's moving, but he is, I mean, flying. So it's nice to hear and see that when we watch somebody at practice and we say, well, that's different, that NFL scouts years later will agree that that is a little different. That's going to work.
Yeah, and so this is a guy that you know, I think we're going to get excited about when he gets drafted in the first round. You'll hear his name, another Nole infused into that list of Noles that have gone as of late. It's always better when you're watching the NFL and there's, you know, a Nole on both sides of the ball. I mean, you've seen that a lot lately. That's from a couple years ago, obviously, but let's get back to that. Let's get back to bringing in some dudes that look like that and do those kinds of things.
At least that room looks the part. I would say of
100%.
Of all of the rooms, I'm going through the roster real quick in my head. I think that's the one. It's not D-line. It's not linebacker. It's not receiver. It's not offensive line. We'll see with the transfers. But if you're just talking about setting up for the future, do these guys look the part of what Florida State should look like? The defensive back room, these are rangy dudes, and they got springy athleticism.
When we went into the offseason, Tom, remember, let's circle back here. We do a lot of this now, but here we are in March, and I'm thinking about the end of the season and what were our concerns. Well, you knew, obviously, there were going to be coaching changes. We wanted to know who he was going to bring in. We wanted to know how many coaches were going to be let go, all those things. Wanted to know, you know, how many players were you going to lose? How many players did you have to bring in to replace the players that you're going to lose, but also to flip this roster? But when we did all of that hand-wringing, I think almost universally, all of us that cover this team or even just watch this team kind of felt like, well, golly, it would be a shame that after all of this, you lose that group of defensive backs that you've put together over the last couple of years. That secondary is littered with guys, and it's the poison word, it's potential, but it's littered with guys who have great potential, length, speed, size, athleticism. It's all there. You are correct. That is the one group that when we're at, you know, that's that group over and over again. I was like, man, well, they're good.
Right.
We wouldn't know it, but they're good.
So when Lester came on campus, I don't know, something about when you're a high profile defensive back, I almost think that you're undersized and athletic as hell. But then he got on campus, I'm like, no, he's large. That's a big guy. And then Kai Bates is larger. And when, let's see, I'm trying to think, Edwin Joseph, when he came on campus, I'm like, well, God, he's developed looking. He's not huge, but he looks developed and he looks nasty and mean. And then we saw KJ Kirkland, of course, and he looked like almost a hybrid between safety and linebacker.
He's huge.
If he plays like that, this is the perfect scheme for him now.
I was going to say, he's in a good position to be,
Yeah, they've been on a run of these guys. And, of course, Quindarius Jones is my favorite, and I think he's got a chance to do – I mean, he's already a junior. Time flies. So if he has a good year this year, in theory, he could be gone.
Let's hope we're having to wrestle with that.
I hope so. Yeah. By game 5 ago,
crap, man, he's gone.
He's gone. But because he's just, I mean, he's springy, but then he's got such long arms. It's, what do you do with that? Hopefully we are saying that where Deuce Robinson and Jordan Scott and Squirrel White are being matched up in camp. You go, man, they're just, the defensive back said no today. They said, no, not going to happen.
Well, you know how intrigued I am by this defense and the kind of style of play, tenacity, toughness. I want to see lots of chippiness in camp. I want to see a lot of, like, you know, because that'll happen if one side is getting the better of the other. That leads to that sort of thing. So I desperately want to see it. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. We're down here in Clearwater, beautiful The beaches are gorgeous, of course, and we're going to go take in some spring training games. If you and your family want to do something similar, make a trip. AboveandBeyondVR.com is where you want to check out the properties throughout the area. It's coastal Pinellas County, everything, beach cottages, quaint beach motels, luxury condos. They've got them all. So really, they can fit whatever need you have. You can also give them a call, 727-253-5995. Jeff Cameron Show continues, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.